Here's how to stop wasting your life without burning out. Most people think they're wasting their lives because they're distracted. That's not the problem. The real problem is this. You're trying to fix it in a way that actually makes it worse. Too much scrolling, so you cut distractions. Too many breaks, so you build structure. Not enough discipline, so you push harder. And for a while, it works. You're more focused, more consistent, more productive, and then something starts to shift. You're getting more done, but yet feeling worse at the same time. More pressure, more fatigue, less clarity. That's the part most people never stop to question. Because the real issue isn't that you're wasting your life. It's that different parts of you are pulling in opposite directions. And the harder you push, the worse that conflict gets. You've probably felt this. You sit down to work. You know exactly what needs to get done. It's clear. It's not complicated. But something in you resists it. So you push through. You remove distractions. You force your focus. You stay on task. And technically, you're working. But it feels forced the entire time. Like you're dragging yourself through it. That tension right there, that's the signal. Not that you're distracted. Not that you lack discipline. But that something in your system is working against itself. So let's define this clearly. When I say system conflict, I mean this. One part of you is pushing forward, while another part is trying to slow things down. There's a version of you that wants progress. It wants structure. It wants results. It wants to use your time well. That part is necessary. But there's also another part of you. The part that checks out. The part that avoids. The part that reaches for distraction. Most people label that as weakness. It's not. There's usually a third layer underneath both of those. The part that's trying to protect your energy. And when that part gets ignored, it pushes back. When you feel like you're wasting time, the instinct is to correct it with intensity. More discipline, more control, more pressure. So you tighten everything. You remove anything that looks like a distraction. You raise your expectations. You try to operate at a higher level all the time. And again, for a short period, this works. But underneath that, something else is happening. You're increasing strain across your performance systems. Your focus improves, but your cognitive load increases. Your output goes up, but your recovery goes down. Your structure gets tighter, but your flexibility disappears. And over time, that creates friction. And this is where people get stuck. Because from the outside, it looks like discipline, but internally, it feels like pressure you can't turn off. And this is where it becomes clear. This isn't a time problem. It's a system problem. Look at this across your performance systems. Your intellectual system is overloaded. Too many decisions, too much constant focus, no space to reset. Your emotional system starts pushing back. You feel resistance, frustration, guilt for not doing more. Your physical system then follows. Energy drops, recovery slows, you feel tired even when you're being productive. And your work, your occupational system, starts to feel heavier. Not because the work changed, but because your capacity did. And once you see it that way, the pattern becomes hard to ignore. And this is the pattern. You increase output in one area while quietly draining the others. At first, nothing breaks, but over time, something pushes back. That avoidant part of you, that's not sabotage. That's a signal that something's out of balance. And this is where a lot of high performers get stuck because everything looks right on the surface. You're disciplined, you're consistent, you're doing the work, but internally, it feels like you're constantly pushing against yourself. Like everything requires force. And the more force you use, the more resistance you create. That's not a discipline problem. That's a system conflict. And this is something I see constantly. People trying to fix this with more effort, when effort isn't the issue. You don't have one version of yourself operating at all times. You have different drives competing for control. The part of you that pushes for more, the part that wants to step away, and the part that's trying to keep the entire system from breaking down. When those aren't aligned, it creates friction. And friction over time turns into exhaustion. This is why extreme discipline doesn't solve the problem. It can improve structure and reduce distractions, but it doesn't resolve the conflict underneath. In some cases, it does make it worse because you're overriding signals instead of understanding them. There's a shift that changes this. Instead of asking, how do I stop wasting time? You start asking, which part of my system is out of balance right now? And that question changes how you interpret what's happening. If your focus is slipping, it may not be a discipline issue. It may be cognitive overload. If you feel resistance toward your work, it's not necessarily laziness. It just may be emotional fatigue. If you're pushing, but your energy isn't there, it's not a motivation problem. It's a capacity problem. Once you see it that way, the solution changes. You don't immediately add more structure. You look at alignment. Where are you pushing too hard? Where are you not recovering? Where are your systems working against each other? Because sustainable performance isn't built on constant intensity. It's built on coordination. That's your ability to think clearly, your ability to manage energy, your ability to stay emotionally steady, your ability to produce meaningful work. Those have to support each other. When they don't, effort turns into strain, and strain over time is what people end up calling burnout. And this is why a lot of people feel like they're doing everything right and still not getting the result they want. They've improved one area and they've ignored the others. So the system never actually stabilizes. You don't need to eliminate the part of you that avoids. You need to understand what it's responding to. You don't need to constantly increase pressure. You need to adjust how that pressure is applied. You don't need to force consistency at all costs. You need to build a system that can sustain it. If you feel like you're constantly at war with yourself, that's the signal. Not that you're failing, but that something in your system is out of alignment. This is exactly why I built the free wellness audits around the different areas of wellness. They're linked in the description. Because most people don't see where the breakdown starts. They only feel the result. Low energy, inconsistent focus, frustration with their output, but no clear cause. Those audits are designed to show you exactly where that imbalance is coming from, whether it's your workload, your recovery, your focus, or something else entirely. So you can start adjusting the system instead of just pushing harder against it. And if you want to go deeper, that's exactly what my full courses are built around, helping you rebuild that system so it actually works together. Most people stay stuck here. They recognize the problem, but they keep trying to solve it the same way. More effort, more discipline, more pressure. And over time, that's what starts to feel like you're wasting your life. Now, once you see where the imbalance is coming from, the next step is learning how to handle pressure without making it worse. That's what I break down in the video right here. Because if you don't adjust how you handle pressure, you'll keep recreating the same cycle over and over and over again, no matter how disciplined you try to be. I'll see you there.